On to order the branding and seal committee for May 14th. While present, we're good. We have a quorum. Hey, you guys, we had this meeting and we had it without the consultant. I just want to bounce some stuff off with you guys about how we direct our efforts going forward. We are coming up to a little bit of a crunch in the calendar. Which funds, by June 30th, we have to have funds spent to a point. David, you have some thoughts you want to share.
Yeah, I went and after the last few, and certainly being in the business and my profession, I just felt like I wanted to kind of rein in the thoughts of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. And I think where I was getting concerned was last week was sort of like deadlines and things, and just this is not going the correct direction. So I just thought, let me jump in, add a bunch of my 2 and 3 cents, and just sort of take you through. So
right, and then I do want to add that I think Kate, Amy, and I will meet with the consultant to direct them further based on stuff you guys talked about today.
Yep.
So have it.
all right,
Okay,
just gonna pull up the.
hold on.
Oh, Topher Cox is on the way.
With more ideas.
Yes.
Just had it open, hold on.
It's a cupola. Or more like a state house, but it's a city.
Oh, Dome.
What's Georgetown, Texas.
That looks like LGBTQ went up to another level.
Right, oh.
All the stripes.
Yeah, yeah.
Humbler.
They're very strange tumblers. This is that new thing.
Oh, geez. Wasn't gonna see that.
It looks like a game.
All right, so in sort of putting together the presentation, it's based on what I give my clients type of thing. So I thought I'm just gonna run through my process to get here. Again, a lot of it was just, we're misfiring here, and how would I get us back on track? Sort of the point I took it. So go ahead. So we've got Favorman's proposal, and we don't go through the whole thing. I mean, it's all there and he's been going through things, but being a designer and seeing what he has and seeing what he's coming up with, again, I see a big disconnect. Also, a lot of his final pieces, you can see Wellesley and Woburn and a bunch of others, and I know exactly where we're gonna get. It's exactly what we've been seeing type of thing. Go ahead. So I went through what we're not hitting on is what are our needs? Our needs, is we have all these departments. We don't have the signage department. We've got all these departments. And then we have all these high priority needs. And again, I'm matching up what I've seen versus what can we produce. And I assume when street signs, you mean this actual street sign and not welcome to Needham
Right,
type of thing.
the ones you showed.
That
Right,
has a little thing on the end, yeah.
Yep, okay. So go ahead. So I saw the task as, we've got the town seal. And, we're gonna try to make it historically accurate. We had some discussions around that. Can we make it a little bit easier to print on official things? Then the other part we have to sort of discuss on what's appropriate. So it could be like anything that's quote official business should have the official seal on it type of thing. And then everything else is this mystery, to me, second mark. I'm calling it mark versus, wayfinding, let's say. So we want to, can we use it across all departments? Can we use it in all kinds of processes, printing, metal, in a ton of different things? And can we scale it up and scale it down? That's one of the things we can't do with the current seal. Go ahead. So this is what our situation is. So, when you look at the embroidery, we've got our logo in color and not in color, different interpretations. It's on business cards, it's on, the street signs. Half of them are fading out. That's probably you know, I don't know if it's the process probably versus anything else. And there's also, I couldn't find pictures of like the DPW trucks and fleets and things like that that would have more of the logo on. So, you know, this to me was part of my homework, sort of like, okay, well, how are we using this? Go ahead. So what we've been presented is wayfinding systems. You know, this is where it's just, you know, we've got two parking, you know, things that I've seen, you know, behind CVS and then across, you know, over by Chapel Street. And Mark's fixated on little details, like can we do a little end for, you know, a park bench or something like that? And that's just not, I don't really see any way that I can kind of turn any of these things, you know, putting them on designer hat. If I'm given this and then I'm given what our need is, I'm kind of stuck type of thing.
Mhm.
Go ahead. So what I really think we need, and I don't know, again, looking over his portfolio, I looked through basically his portfolio, then I Googled the towns. Are the towns using what he did? Some, there's what,
Ipswich uses it.
yeah,
but
there's a couple that they'll use like a part, I found one where they use it like a welcome center on the website, and that's the only spot. You need the whole thing, and that's the only spot. Now, it also could be, they didn't decide to implement it, they also, you know, there's a budget involved in doing all this stuff, so, you know, I do that with a grain of salt. But most towns still use some sort of mark. Wellesley used a seal, but they cleaned up, but it's still all over the place, and a lot of the other towns, same way. So I just see this as, you know, what you showed here, you know, these are logos type of thing. And that's what I always had in my mind that we were
Right.
trying to go for.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, given our conversations in here and, you know, what was running through my head type of thing, I mean, this is how I sort of designed it. What are the big elements we're looking at here? You know, we talked about the bridge and the river, and I got sold on that because I thought, all right, you know, I thought about that before. Overdone to the oomph with all the towns around us. So again, that's okay. I'm throwing back in the cupola because how much money have we spent on
It
this
exists.
building? It exists.
a lot.
And my research, I talked to 2 realtors. When you are selling Needham type of thing, and apart from the school and what do you do with them? They say, I send them down to town hall. They get to go, they get the whole feel, they bring it in, it's a small town, you know, it's.
Is there anything of the town hall that isn't the cupola that you could think of? Like the windows or
The red
doors
chairs.
or
Weather.
the- the-
It's, yeah, it's possibly, yeah,
Possible,
possibly.
yeah. Anyway, not to derail, but yeah. I hear you.
Right, but it was just kind of like, you know, that's sort of our crown jewel, and I think the other thing is, if you add up all the time we've lived in Needham from all of us here, it's probably like 500 years or something. So we're all townies, and I'm always curious, what's the person who just moved in here or a couple of years ago, what's their perception? We have our perceptions, because we're close to this. But you know, and again, talking to the realtor, they're like, you know, it's not a deciding factor, but it gives them that centered of, here's the town. It's the town center, and everything kind of revolves and spokes off of here type of thing. You know, then just the word Needham. I like that. I liked the sans serif face just because every municipal building now has the sans serif silver. It's a little lighter than I would want it to be for like a logo, but I think it works with it. And the 1711, that's nice. That gets the history and tradition again. The pansy, you know, if I find something graphical, that could work. You know, I had that. And then I also was messing with picket fences, and I thought, well, maybe a gate pop, you know, possibly, you know, so these were the items I was, you know, ruminating in my head. And I decided to work up a couple on my own, and I did one that I liked, and I'm just gonna present it and roll it all the way through, just to see how it goes. Might not be it, but I just wanna roll it through and see, you know, show you how this works. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So there, I'm taking the bridge and the cupola, and I
Cool.
put them together, and I used the light blue on the outside because that could be like blue sky, and underneath it could be like bluish for water. This again could work in any color though. That's how I want to have it designed. It's like if we wanted to do blue and yellow, well, the light blue becomes yellow. If we wanted to do dark green, that would replace the blue. Lots of different ways to do it. That's how the logo works. It's not dependent on color, but I can use it and strip it out. And I can put it in reverse and positive. Go ahead. Then we get into the nitty gritty of the problems. So, I took the patch and even kept the patch the way I had it. How would I reinterpret that? I don't have to use the whole logo, gotta be smart. It still says Needham with the cupola and 1711. Same thing with the fire company, sort of did the same thing. That might not be for their letterhead and stuff like that, but for patches and basically what they had, this would be an improvement.
That's really.
Yeah, that's
successful.
really,
It is successful.
What's that?
It's successful.
Then here was another, taking our signage, again, that was more just showing like, hey, we
How it
have,
would work. Yeah.
right.
So we
Then-
have to squint to try to figure out where.
Right, exactly.
That seal looks just like the last seal.
So your eyes hurt. Then I just took a business card just to sort of like, that's your typical, everything's on the old cards, Times Roman, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna rebrand this, let's make it look good type of thing,
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
On this, the bottom one is what we have now, right?
Yeah.
I can never remember, it keeps changing. Do you think that the whole sign would have to be done, or would it be possible to just make like a crazy permanent sticker that goes on top of the old one
Uh-huh.
Oh, that,
to save some?
they, they make some pretty good stuff nowadays. I mean, I would have to go,
if you don't mind
it's-
changing the color.
you
Well,
have-
just to
There's
be
so
like,
many.
I mean, I don't know how much signs cost per,
Oh,
side.
yeah, well, no, I just.
Well, I
but I
figured-
know how much stickers.
Every
cost.
time someone retires, I buy them, they're $59.
Well,
There you
I,
go.
I
It's a lot- it's a lot of money.
right, I always did it in blue, just, 'cause I've seen other
Yeah,
that's
towns
why I
where they've actually used another color, so I just,
Yeah, no, absolutely, but blue, yeah.
but, then I know,
Take a
like,
few off.
but we have all these
I'm
screens.
just like-
I just didn't know if she's gonna like,
Dude, can I tell you first of all?
Yeah,
I
but the seal
love
is gonna
this.
be used.
I've been here for
We
2
can talk
minutes, I
about
love this.
We're gonna have a big conversation.
So it's-
okay, go ahead. And that's, again, I've done installations like that where,
Mhm.
showing how it works with sort of our signage, or, the existing lettering type of thing.
And you said something that could go bigger and smaller.
Right,
That's
I
an
mean,
example.
that's probably as big as we're gonna use it, and then I also want, should work the size of a dime type of thing, so that's, another one of my criteria when I do stuff. Go ahead,
Nice.
and then there's our spec, and then, again, the trucks, it could be just the round decal, I could work out where I put Department of Public Works on the side or underneath, we can figure that out, but I have it ways so it can be on white. And also, by putting another white circle around, I can put it on anything dark and it's gonna work. It's also, I think that would work really well in embroidery type of thing too. And I think that's, for the uniforms and everything else, I figured that, any screen printing's easy type of thing, but that's kind of what I wanted, like, Mark to show up with, to sort of say, hey, this is addressing all our needs type of thing. And then usually what happens is you get a logo like this, and then I say, hey, let's do new welcome to Needham sign, and that's where I hand this to him. And he'll do that, and a couple parking signs and stuff like that. So I just saw it's like we are rebuilding a house, and everything's in the house and it's missing a bathroom. And we talked about the house and we're still missing a bathroom, and now we're refining it, so we're picking wallpaper, but we're still missing a bathroom, so.
Yeah.
I'm here to make a bathroom. So that's kind of where, that's what I want us to have, something that's versatile and we can use. And I just wasn't sure then, like, again, what's the timing, what's contingent upon different things, like if he has a report, is like, how much does this process has to sell the next level type of thing?
Well, in an ideal world, he would have given us the seal and a couple of options on the branding, and we picked one, and then what you didn't have on your first slide, which we should think about, is that
we also have a contract for a style guide. So that it would be all of the fonts and all of the colors and the colors that match these colors that we,
Right,
so we really want that deliverable, but
Right.
we can do that next. So that would be ideal. I mean, we can break this into pieces, we could, Kevin and I and Amy thought about meeting with him and showing him some of the things and saying, bring us something like this. But, let me finish.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I really like
We could also just say, can you get us, let's get the seal, which we already told you exactly what we want on the seal and. maybe-
right, I mean, now we
Hold
haven't
on.
seen anything on that, that
And
worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He said he's
But-
had bad experience with other towns and.
Well, that for me is picking, that's just an art direction job. And it's finding the right, what I looked a little bit, I mean, there's some better renditions than others around Needham, and I'd almost pick like, okay, what's the right one, and then say, let's do this, I mean, literally I could take a Sharpie and just and do this, and certain things that I haven't heard are, okay, if we have, it's one Native American and 2 settlers, do we wanna make it one-on-one? Or do we wanna add another Native American? And again, the more you add to these things, just.
busier it is.
Right. But it seemed pretty easy that way, and then it's just a matter of like, almost, I would go and literally find an illustrator who could do like, probably almost like a woodcut type of, there's different styles, but finding it and sort of saying, this is what we're looking for, and they'll usually provide sketches, and then you go from there type of thing, but it's up to us, like, well, yeah, it's just a little too mountainous, just bring it down a little bit, or, something like that.
Right.
What's wrong with this?
We have a legally binding contract, I just think,
But, yes,
I just need to point that out.
But
So
he-
we need to get something for the
You
contract.
can get paid.
But we
Yeah,
need
I
to get
think-
something for it.
Right.
well, but, okay,
Yes.
I personally like the idea that you reintroduced an art, a Needham architectural site,
Okay.
because as lovely as the river and the bridge and the
The
front
bridge is-
porch are, they're generic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not identifiable as Needham. And I felt that the last couple of meetings, that it wasn't really saying, if you ask the average Needhamite,
Yeah.
what do you think about when you think of Needham? They don't necessarily think of a bridge and a river. They may think of the Charles River occasionally. They may think of a front porch, but I don't think that'd be on the top of their list. I think the town hall, the library, the things that they're used to seeing all the time and that are identifiable with Needham. So I think reintroducing this, I may be in a minority view. I know everyone
I
has.
actually really like.
But you don't like cupolas.
I know, but I just like this, and I like how it's on the bridge. I don't love the blue. I would like to hear your opinion on other
But it's
colors.
I'm glad
different this
you-
way, the
Dave,
cupola
I'm
than the
glad you-
others.
I mean, so I understand we have a legal contract with them, but the stuff that I think he's brought is fine for what it is, but I feel like it's a rehash of every other town.
Well, you just put a different town name on
A
it.
different town name and like,
A lot
oh,
of
let's do the
rivers,
things on the
a lot of
bottom.
towns that have rivers.
Right, and that's fine, but first of all, I don't know how he got the contract, but I might have missed that meeting. Instead of someone from Needham doing it, which has always been
Because we
my,
have to procure it.
Procurement.
So we just-
procurement.
so you got 3,
And
There's a
we were
process.
told as a group that it was out for, and if you've been at that meeting.
I know, that's why I said, I don't, but that's
That's
fine.
just the way the view is.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
and
We're
that's
no,
trying
fine.
to
that's fine.
regroup now.
But that's fine, so if he got the
Wait, wait,
contract, but he's not producing what we're looking for.
then
I mean,
maybe-
I'm freelance, I'm a contractor, if I don't produce what my client's looking for. That's bad, right? Like, you kind of lose the job.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, I've had contracts like this where, he's getting paid.
Yeah.
And that's fine, unless there's something where, I've had with a lot of my clients, I'm like, okay, I'll get, again, he's getting a chunk up front, I'll be like half up front or something. And if we get halfway through, that helps me and him. I hate this client, I'm out of here. Or, I'm not producing, they'll go do, something else type of thing, So I'm okay, I just, I wanna be able to, move, I think we deserve something good that we can move on to. I know it's in there somewheres. And I don't want, if he presents his report I mean, he could present the words, like I read his reports, it's boilerplate when you look at the other towns. But you know, depending if the town, is it, or the town committee, what's the,
Town. Yeah.
just the town, like when he presents the report?
It'll be us, or we'll bring it to the select board, depending.
Okay, well, yeah, I just feel like if they look at this and say, how are we gonna use this on anything except what he showed us, and we didn't even put down what he's showing us as a deliverable type of thing. And even if you were to do that and you say, okay, now we have this, you know, artwork style guide, and you give it to me, or you give it to, you know, you give it to another designer, they're gonna be stuck like, okay, hey, you got a typeface, that's about it.
I mean, I know someone gave me somebody else's photographs and said, it's, I thought you're like, no, right? Like,
Yeah. Well,
it's a good thing.
well, it happens to me all the time where I've got, like, I work with like a lot of big branding agencies, they'll come in and rebrand it, but they're not gonna execute it, and they just kind of dump it on me.
Right.
And then what happens is I get like the policeman's patch that doesn't work because it's the wrong shape and everything else, and I have to then
Right.
sort of, how can I keep this on brand? And I think that's what's gonna happen here, and having a more flexible logo that can do different things.
Mhm.
You
'Cause-
won't translate.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, right away that you'll have this and say, oh, we want to do a pencil. Okay, well, how do I do it? You know, I'll figure it out somehow, you know, it's that kind of thing, like, you know, even on the banner stanchions going through town, you know. I
When the hair can't be red.
Show and tell.
Loud and possible.
Yeah,
What struck me is that the examples he showed us, you know, initially when we were first going through, it seemed fairly, you know, fairly straightforward and simple. You know, this is the Brookline one, Sturbridge had just the, you know, with weather vane, and Wakefield had their gazebo. And then the ones he brought to us are incredibly complicated. I mean,
Yes.
just to resolve as images, they're very complicated.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it just because we couldn't figure out what,
Well, we
you
also
know, what
said
our
no-
icon was,
no
or we
cupolas,
said no
no
cupolas, and that's the only,
fans.
the
Right.
only
Kind of
icon.
It
we
wasn't a little
have.
unfair, right? Yeah.
well, but when he brought back the cupolas, it was all like photographic. And, you know, it wasn't,
It was this
Yeah.
high contrast poster and it's.
right, and that's kind of, you know, that works for that. I mean, cause I remember seeing that in Brookline and stuff, and I thought, oh, that's nice. I mean, it was kind of the colors were sort of more daring, like a bright orange and whatever, but I'm like, you know, in my head, I'm like, good for them, they did something, because we don't have something like that type of thing.
I don't really see the return on investment on this for Needham, like, every parking lot is filled, everybody knows where parking is.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
wanna know where
yeah.
town hall is? Look on your phone, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's,
Well, I went through and I.
the restaurants are packed, the housing prices are skyrocketing, you know, and so, and everything's making money. What's gonna, it's not gonna go up because of
Right,
a sign that
the
tells you
only
where
sign I
parking
think
is.
you need is when you cross the street in the 128 between 128 and the river.
Oh, yeah.
That's ours, that's
Right.
ours.
You are still. in-
You are not in
That's
the-
flavor, that's
You
flavor.
are not yet in.
Yeah. I mean,
But I disagree. I think that if you do have a brand and you are advertising everywhere, then people, as they're in town, start feeling like, yeah, this is,
Oh, yeah.
I think you
this
start
is,
seeing
this
it.
is who we are.
It's
This
a
is what,
sense of
yeah.
place.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like Civic Pride was like the one new thing I came up with,
Yeah.
because again, it's nice if you have, and again, being a designer, I mean, I get swag from printers and whatever, and there's always like, hey, here's a really nice golf shirt with a really shitty logo on it. I'm just like, I wish you just gave me the golf shirt. And then sometimes you get this piece of schlock thing, but it looks like a nice logo, and I keep that. I like the way it looks.
Like, I went to Syracuse, and you go to the Syracuse campus, everybody's wearing a Syracuse sweatshirt. We all know we're there, but it's the pride, right? And there is something
Right.
for that. I will tell you, you're gonna get a lot of Needham pride coming at you when you say, oh, look, here's our new logo, right? Like, it's gonna be like, I know old Needham and I don't
Yeah.
want to
But
change.
that's why I think
So,
we
yeah.
have the seal,
Yeah.
which you keep the seal.
Right.
Well, the whole,
Yeah.
For
isn't there,
certain items.
Yeah, and
isn't
that's,
that seal going though? Isn't that the
No.
whole point? The seal?
No, it's.
Well, we're
it's-
redoing the
it's-
seal.
It's this little hybrid, which I like. Again, I liken it to, I'm going to Boston College, and
Right.
pick the college,
Right.
here's the seal. And most, when you look at all college seals, they're pretty good now. The town seals all kind of are a mess. You know, with like a lot of the college seals really have, you know, because they're using it and they're marketing all the time. We use it to like, here from Needham type of thing. And then they have the secondary logos, you know, you have BC, even there, it'll just say Boston College, then you have a tertiary where it's got the mascot
Yeah.
type of thing.
Or
But, you know,
Wellesley has the W, right?
Yeah.
Right, but that's just it, though, it's just the W, and then what Mark came up with, you can see it out on signage, you
You
know.
can't put it as bumper sticker.
Right, you know, even there, you know, the one town that was doing something a little bit, Hull, he had a little wave thing. They took that and they put it on the welcome the Hull on a completely different sign.
It's
And that's
nice
the
if
only
you're on the
place I saw
shore.
it. And then Sturbridge Village had the little weather
Yeah.
vanish, and I saw that one or two spots where they used it, other than like a sign, that was kind of it. And I kept thinking, hey, we're in a unique position because other towns don't have a logo. We literally don't. They're all stuck with the seal, and I think this, I mean.
That's why we,
That's
the money
why
and.
Well, that's why I kind of thought.
It's torturous, but we're gonna get
Right,
there.
well, and the other thing is like, when I looked at the other towns and was Googling stuff. You know, I found Mark's, you know, his reports and stuff, it's all, you know, out there for the public, so I thought, oh, this is easy, I can see what he did, type of thing. And, I think like, I guess what, the state gave money during COVID or something, because he's got like 5 or 6 cents, and I'm like, oh, he knows that that's out there, and he probably went to the towns. And
Yeah, that's what.
again, when he got this, I wasn't involved in seeing, like, when the RFPs went out, I missed a meeting. Not that it'll happen in that meeting, but when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, he specializes in towns, I get it. And then I kind of stopped thinking about it a whole lot, and let's see what he comes up with, and then all of a sudden I got horrified, where I'm like, oh, he's just doing wayfinding, that's like the
mean,
only
we have
thing we're
3 people
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the lowest cost.
And
the other
this is
one
what he
is-
does, right? That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I
It's
really
not-
like the way you missed the beginning part where he did the wayfinding thing and the logo thing, and, you know, and it really helps.
Well, I
you know,
wanna help,
conceptualize what we need. and
right,
That we were losing our way,
right.
going to those kind of signs,
Well,
which is
and-
not what,
And in the meetings, I kept thinking, you know, how can I art direct him on like what to do? And then it just, after the last meeting, I was like, I can't art direct that, we're just not getting the right thing here, you know?
So does
it's
it
like-
make sense to have him focus next, while we think about what to do about the brand and how to manage this whole situation, to at least give us some seal ideas, because that's discreet and done, and it doesn't
Right.
need a style guide and all this
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, so.
yeah,
Cause I
Um,
like to see how that, you know, I mean, again, that's where I thought, like. I wasn't gonna say a whole lot, you know, like, here's the trees, the orange is too orange, should be red, I'm just like, it's like. I'm picking wallpaper on the Titanic type of thing, you know, it's just kind of like, I don't know, but but the seal, I think it could, you know, I'd be interested to see how he shows sort of some interpretation of it, just so the elements are right, you know, even if it's like stick figures, that's fine. And, you know, I put in a little thought on the seal itself, it says Town of Neenah at the top, it says incorporated, 1711. And just hate the word incorporated, it's just, it's longer than the, you know, Town of Neenah type of thing.
Just say something.
But-
1711.
7-Eleven.
But you could get away with, you've got,
Yeah, 3 of them.
let's see, you do Town of Needham, 1711, Massachusetts, and then you got it. Then it kind of, because it doesn't say Massachusetts on it at all. So I thought, well, that's one potential thing, you know, that's where I'd want to see him, hey, I tried this, and hey, I tried that, and then I just don't know.
yeah, maybe we could even say Massachusetts without the S, which is the tribe whose land we're on.
That'd be kind of interesting.
What do you think, Amber?
You know?
Of course, I love that. No, I'm not gonna say no to that.
law.
And I wonder if he has illustrators on board of his staff. It seems like.
Probably not.
He has at least somebody, because he mentioned a woman that, you know, said I gave her the ideas, and I gave her what you came up with last time.
And are there any examples of seals that he's worked with? He said people couldn't agree and like
Yes,
kind of thing. So I'm wondering whether we're gonna be round and round over something that won't be what we have in mind.
I sense the seal project, there would be more finite. We have what we have.
Yeah.
We need him
Cleaned up.
to clean it, make it historically accurate and also to sort of reflect sensibilities that I think we all share from the first meeting,
Which
first two meetings, right?
You know, Kate's summary of things
Yeah.
in January. I thought was
So
very
I
good.
don't mind having him execute that.
But I'm saying, does he have people on board who can
He
do
does.
that?
You can find a
illustration?
contractor, you know,
His
like
contract
a-
says
an
he does,
illustrator.
so. if-
Yeah.
Right,
We'll
you know,
see what
you
happens.
might have to pay that person $5,000 or something, you know, it's,
Right,
I would just, let's see some. Normally before someone quote inks that up, we're gonna see some sketches, and it all depends the process, like, I don't like the towns that. They'll go in and use Illustrator and it loses the old character and stuff, I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
like,
don't get
I
me
don't wanna lose that.
vector art can look very vector. art.
Right, there's, like, I looked at it and I said, well, what, you know, if someone gave that to me, would I attempt it? I'm like, well, it depends what their budget is, but. I could possibly Photoshop it around, but I mean, by the time you move everything around, I'm like, I'd rather just. Talk to someone, then see a pencil sketch and say, great, look at their style, you know, it doesn't have to be that they've done. A seal before, I just need to see a good, you know, it's kind of like I'm picking someone to do a good watercolor, like. I'll give you the subject, but here's how I want it to look, you know, and they'll come back with a pencil sketch, and you're like, great. You
Right,
know, then if they put like a goofy expression on their face or something wrong happens, I can electronically fix that, but you can't. Go in and give it that nice rustic look that, you know, I want this to look like. It was done in 1711.
Can you go back to the bigger vision of the?
Yeah.
Dude, what if people, if I could just ask
The
people,
bigger
what do you,
vision of
of that one, yeah.
this one?
No, no, yeah. What do people love about that? What do people, what are your thoughts?
Well, that one also, you can lose the town and the town of, I just,
Yeah.
at some point
Yeah.
I saw that and I thought, it's
No.
on the right.
I like it backwards too, how you have, I mean, what do you call
reverse
that?
out,
But, yeah.
reverse out. I
Oh,
think-
the white on blue.
So,
Again, that's just like one of those things. that-
volunteer, no, I like better the white on blue because the blue, dark blue with the light blue and the white looks a little seaside-ish, like almost like a lighthouse.
It looks like
a lighthouse.
Can you
I
go
know I
back?
should have
Because there's
done
a
it
couple
in
of
gray, that was
lighthouses.
my first.
There are a couple that look like lighthouses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there, the police,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I,
can you go back again, Amy? So, yeah, I agree,
Play a little bit with
our
that,
new
yeah.
standard DPW truck is blue.
okay.
Although no matter what happens, you can't buy the one that, they used to be green,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now they're blue, but now
Oh,
you can only buy, white. So we
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
so we
Yeah.
Oh,
need
geez.
something that's gonna be blue or what, so.
Right.
Right.
I would imagine that the history of the pergola is the same as the history of a lighthouse, which is to find your way, right? To
Mhm.
find
It's a
your way to
clock
the center
tower,
of town, it's a
Or
light.
tell you what time it's.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
clock.
A beacon.
Doing. Yeah.
Either that or they just decided to put big phallic things
Well, they
in
were
the middle
right.
of town
There were light towers, too, yeah.
to call you to the
Alright.
town.
One by Lancho.
And the bridge is a nice symbol,
Yeah.
I love that.
because if we're talking about community building and
Hmm.
not just trying to get Dover to let us put the rail trail through there.
Well, and I tried one where I did more of the bit like the next set of windows down, and then I felt like
Yeah,
that's a good symbol for town hall.
Mhm.
If we're doing a logo for town hall, like it's for Needham. And, you know, what I like about the bridge too, when I saw that form, I thought, you know, I initially had it like where,
Mm.
yeah,
where I,
I asked Amy about that.
where I stretched it out and it just didn't look right.
Did
It looked,
Okay.
I tried hard to do it, 'cause I thought, I was convinced that was the way to
If
do
you'd
it.
like to see that, it's right by Pollard Middle School going into to
Oh,
follow.
the tunnel, they did that.
They-
Oh, the
tunnel?
kiddos,
The
yeah.
graffiti on top that, what's his name from the
So I don't
pizza
wanna
place
copy
did.
that. No, but you know, is that,
So what would you do with the color, David, if you were to not do light?
well,
blue?
I just want a dark color and a lighter color.
What if it was, God forbid, gold, like the sun?
That'd be all right. Like, well, even the, instead of,
Well, it's hard to-
I did look at once
Or yellow.
where I had the, again, it could be black. And the circle, instead of a yellow gold, it's more of that, it was interesting of a, like a metallic gold. I wonder if you have anything around here.
The shiny kind of,
No, that's super, not super shiny. It's sort of like that dull,
This color,
Like an orangey,
the yellow.
yeah.
there's a color, like when you go get paint, there's like old gold and new gold.
Yeah, it's a little more brown to it.
Yeah.
Type of thing, but it's still, but it's
Golden blue
metallic.
again.
Right.
In fact, I
The
mean,
things we said.
you know, you could use
They work.
metallic ink if we did certain inks or something, you know, that's, you know, not to,
Whoa,
that's.
my tax dollars.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Well, that-
yeah, and the cupola is gold, right?
Yeah, yeah,
oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, that, you could even emboss that if you really
Yeah, you
wanted
could do a
to,
little
which would be
gold.
really
That might be really.
pretty sweet.
You could do, yeah, I mean, you could,
If you'd had that
cut
in
that
business
out on-
card.
you could cut that out on plexi and it would show up nicely,
Yeah.
you know, anything like that.
No, I mean, I was happy the more I kept sort of, again, noodling around with it, you know, I had it with. The, you know, more of the building, and that seemed too much,
I wondered about that. We were looking at the windows. It just seemed too big. If you did the windows.
yeah, well, it almost over, and then where am I gonna stick the word Needham, because I just thought, like, I just want Needham to still.
Right.
Be the key of this thing,
We talked a lot, Louise, before you joined, is how the word Needham is just a very pleasing looking
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
but
Yeah,
it, but
we
it's
saw
hard
that
in
thing
certain
on Facebook
fonts, like I
about
was also,
Needham.
it goofed around in, you know, serif fonts, and it's like, you know,
Which font is this?
it's called Gotham.
I'm a bit confused by the belfry, the bell tower on top of the bridge. It looks, I like the bridge and I like the cupola. But together, they look like you made it a whole new building.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, and in the right, on the right, I kind of get that. It's just, it works like a swoosh underneath Needham. And I get that. It's like the shadow of the bridge becomes a swoosh, which is complete abstract, which is great. But I'm not getting the heavy line over Needham with the cupola.
You know what's fascinating, Kevin, is
That's the roof
there's
line.
7 windows. That's why the one on the right looks like the town hall. There's 7 windows up there. So seven, Needham is 7 letters. That's, so it almost looks like the town hall.
That's right,
So-
okay,
Yeah,
Oh,
well, and I put the little wings up, because that's,
yeah,
we
Bridge.
have those, and you know, I debated, I'm like, you know what, it gives a good stopping point for the top to come down.
It gives it dimension too.
Right, and I like, that's why I like, you
Well,
know,
no, yeah, it's the
breaking
roof line.
out with the bottom, and, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
and the swoosh also, you know. I'd say the top's historic, but the swoosh, that's been a nice,
I mean,
There's a
you're
great
right, Kevin,
you know,
it doesn't
um,
exist.
Are we back to innovation with
Innovation.
yeah, well, yeah, it was kind of, it was using the, you know, the typeface there, and then sort of you can temper it all with the 1711, where it's a modern logo, but it's like, hey, we've been around 1711.
So when you had the previous page, right, which had all the different things
Yeah.
separated, I was like, oh, what if you just did the crown jewel with Needham 1711, and that's it? And then when you put the bridge in there, I was like, what? Like that blew
Well,
my
I thought I
mind.
was doing.
But it
stuff.
also could work without the
Right,
bridge,
right,
right?
right.
I think the bridge really sells.
Me
it.
too.
I think it's. I
it
think
gives
it's-
it much
Well, and
more.
I didn't have the
Interest.
circle then at one point, I was just goofing around, because I said, oh, how am I gonna put this on a truck? You know, and then I did that, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
I like
nice.
it both, and you can use it both ways, right? If you want.
Right, right. I mean, that's the thing, like, I would give a style guide that would, you know, have all these separate logos type of thing. And then, again, a sort of a usage guide, like here's when to use it, when not to use it. I mean, that's kind of like standard I mean, I've done a bunch of those.
I mean, if you look at the blue rectangle you have there without the circle on top, that looks like a lamppost flag, right? That could be easily used for
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Or you could, you know, just use the, you know, you could put, I also did a version where you get rid of the word Needham and you put 1711 in there.
Mm.
Yeah,
And then, but
Yeah.
that's just like you had the word Needham someplace else.
Yeah.
With it, have to be married with
I
it.
just love how it looks like the top floor of town hall. Looking
Totally
in the
did
windows
that
of
on
town
purpose,
hall.
right?
I hadn't thought of that.
I have to
Yeah.
count them because Amy showed me a picture of the meeting.
We had talked at one point and folks said that they were not fans of all caps, but everybody
We
seems to
did,
be.
but it works here.
This works, yeah.
I would
I
say
think if it
townhouse.
was lowercase, it wouldn't work.
That
Well, yeah,
looks
it's like when I
it's
was doing it, cause
holding
the,
it up.
the tricky part with the word Needham is it's the D and the H.
Yeah,
Cause I've done
You
again,
have a lot of
a ton
space.
of Needham things and you're dealing with those two ascenders, like what do I do there? Then you have to end that's up pretty high. So that's why I thought, well, if I can, you can cheat things, so it's not as much type of thing. but
Not to
then-
mention it's two words that are separated by that space, right? So it makes it even more obvious.
Right, right.
we have 15 minutes. And we have a contract and we have a calendar of deadlines. So what
What
do-
if we, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
What do people think of town of?
No.
I'm no.
No, don't need town.
Okay, why don't we've got great feedback, why don't you and Amy and I regroup and we'll get back to everybody about what we can do.
Okay,
Yeah, see, I mean, I figured you guys knew the ins and outs,
We'll figure it out.
again, if you need a report, I mean, again, I don't know what even gets presented in the report. I could, he's got reports online. I could write my own if you just say, here's what we're trying to show them. And it's almost showing them something like this with some words added to it. And I mean, because that's basically what he had. He had like 4 or 5 pages of just setup stuff. It's all the stuff we did here. We quote own that, like, you said, hey, thanks, Mark, you work on this, we're covered on the other thing. Keep the money, it's like, it always becomes a big thing where if you're asking for money, then there's, I wouldn't even like go there, because he's way far down the line, for sure.
So you're saying perhaps have him finish up the seal as a committee meeting, you will help us design the,
Yeah, I mean,
we'll figure it out.
I will figure that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
do we need to review what you had written about the town seal? So that, for instance, he said, is there gonna be one indigenous person and two,
Yeah, I don't know if he.
So if you're gonna
gave him-
give him direction at this point about
Yeah.
that, maybe we should relook.
Amy, do
At
we have that?
Yeah, I could pull it
Those
up.
notes?
Yeah,
The existing seal is doing too much.
and I asked Amy to send it out to everybody, because I thought it was like a good
Iraq is too
place.
big, the water is too large, TP is inconsistent historically.
Right.
The crosses are not relevant in 2024.
Medieval.
The oak is too big. The seal should retain the relationship between the colonists and the praying Indian community.
Well, Gloria, there's something about the cross. Sometimes they get these, like, Wellesley or someone's got like a hammer or, sword, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, is there a significance with those?
No.
Other than they were
no,
just-
Other than the foundation of a town in 1711 was the church, the parish.
Yep. Which again, we don't have to amplify.
Not that I know.
But a good Puritan, we would never have to cross.
More,
They would, that's
Yeah,
declaration, they
absolutely
would not have
it's
crosses.
a meeting house. not
yeah, it's a
church.
meeting house.
Yeah,
right.
meeting house is not a church, and they don't do crosses.
Right.
And there's a big issue.
Same with the Quakers.
Yeah.
Still goes on.
So, yeah, the crosses can go, I think.
I'm wondering what Autumn is thinking too.
So Autumn, if we finally move on to the seal,
I agree, the crosses can go. It'd be nice if it looked a little more like the Charles River and not a lake.
Yeah.
And if it's, high rock, maybe look more like a rock and not a mountain. For the tree, maybe it's a tall pine instead of so I'm just gonna throw it out there. So I'd still like to have my niece, who is an artist, just give a sketch for everyone to kind of see, just kind of like maybe what's in my head. And maybe that might be something for everyone to kind of look at and give him a little more direction.
that'd be great, Amber.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll have her do something and I'll have it for the next meeting just to kind of show, but just little things, but crosses I think can absolutely go. Yeah, and then, the tree, it should be a pine. Let's make it look more like the Charles River. It should look more like High Rock and not a mountain. Yeah,
Okay,
How
and then,
about the people?
How many people?
I think 2 would be appropriate. I think any more kind of makes it look like a 2-on-1 type of thing. And
Oh,
then
yeah, no,
definitely
right.
you know, removing the document too, because it's controversial, like what was really behind that, what was really the meaning, was he happy, was he not happy? I think just taking that element out kind of removes that from the imagery that someone looking at it would see. I love the idea of having Massachusetts without the S. One, it's a conversation piece. Someone's going to look at it and say it's missing an S, and that opens up to say, no, that's the actual First Peoples Tribe, and that's how it was spelled, and that's the original way of it. And then for rebranding, I mean, it's a whole nother line of history that opens up.
Right.
Okay,
I also wonder, again, I don't know if it's historically correct, like sometimes they have U's that are V's. And I don't know when I've seen that,
In the Roman style, because there's no U.
yeah.
oh,
okay,
yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just easy to
certainly-
engrave.
But I-
It's
but,
just
you
an
know-
anachronism, it's not a medieval,
Okay, I
Actually-
just wasn't sure.
It's like in
a
the
double, two U's, a double U to use, so, you know, there's more, yeah, there's more curves in
Yeah.
medievals than.
And I take your point, David, about the word incorporated, and I think a lot of towns use it if they were settled and then incorporated. You see that a lot, like
Oh,
settled in 1620,
yeah.
incorporated.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary, 1711 gets the message across.
Yeah.
Well, right. Well, I think it's, you know, simplify, and it could even be someplace else in the seal. I mean, the one thing I would almost do, you know, again, if I'm doing research, I'm looking at, you know, seals across, you know, wherever, not even local ones, sort of like, hey, I like that style. Or finding, you know, an illustration, I like that style. To show somebody, and the only thing I would say is, you know, again, I'd like to see what Amber's, you know, piece comes up with is. Just not to have everything perfectly centered, like we can like off center it, you know, just, you know, throws it off a
Yeah.
little bit, so it doesn't look like a cartoon you can color in. I mean, that's my big thing, you know, that's, so it's getting the shading right, cause that's what these vector things look like, they look like, you know, hey, let's all paint the seal, you know, and.
I mean, obviously woodcut style or whatever you wanna call that,
Yeah.
as it shrinks, it gets.
Tighter,
smaller.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah,
But we won't need to
And
do a
great-
lot of shrinking. It'll be on the cover of a book, like a warrant. It'll be on probably, you know, town
Letterhead.
documents. I don't even know about the lead. I don't think, but we haven't decided that
Okay.
yet.
And the town seal,
Yeah, that, yeah.
I
right.
mean, New York City's got, as a New Yorker, they're kind of like holding, they're not, I don't think they're holding hands, but they're holding something together. It's an indigenous and then a, you know, white dude. And their hands are both going out and they're holding stuff. And
Oh,
it's
really?
kind of as a.
Well, I've also seen it where it's like, you know, like hands on shoulders type of, like, is there
Yes,
something like that, you know, it's like a. Showing, yeah, to like, again, the Amber's points, like, you know, are they showing the transaction?
Yeah.
Or are we showing that
Or do
we
you
get
need-
along or friends, you know?
Do you even need like an Anglo character in there?
Boy, there's a lot going on in that
Right.
seal.
Right,
There's a lot. So that's
Can
from,
we just go back to the
that's the
process,
Dutch.
1711?
as long as you know for
And-
sure,
and-
The windmill, it's got the
1670.
barrel, it's got the beaver, it's got the.
Meeting
Oh,
was
look at that.
established was because they were separating
From the
from
church.
Dedham.
The-
They
that-
wanted
that-
their own church.
Meeting
Right.
house, yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't a meeting house.
It could, yeah, it wasn't that deep popish.
I thought it was because the walk was too long or
It
something.
was.
In Needham, it was a meeting
Yeah.
house.
Meeting
It was a
house,
meeting
Dover,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
it
a
was
meeting house,
the church, but it was a
Yes,
meeting
yes.
house.
Meeting house.
What was it called?
Meeting house.
a meeting
First
house.
It was the meeting house.
First parish, we can call it church, but
It's church
were
in the
not-
generic sense, but the church meets in the meeting
It
house.
was, it was referred to as the meeting house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Catholics have churches. Protestants.
they weren't here yet.
They weren't there, they were in Maryland.
Amber, can you get that draft to us sooner rather than later?
I was
And when
actually
do
trying to
you-
have it today, but she
No.
couldn't finish it, so no, so it will be, I know, I was texting her like, do you have it, do you have it? So no, definitely for the
We'll
next
talk to
meeting.
Mark
I'll
next
have
week.
it.
Okay, and when are we meeting next?
The 28th.
28th, all right.
Do you have any others pre-scheduled? Or that's-
I do, but I don't know if they're on your calendar or. you
Guess
know,
it's helpful to know.
June 11th. In that vein.
June 11th.
Is Tuesday still terrible for you?
Oh, dude, it doesn't even matter.
Please call me dude. I answer to
You have
that. I
children?
do.
Do they call you bra?
I have one,
They're older than.
Yeah.
28th. I don't, are we doing one on the 14th? I have that.
Oh, you
That's
said
today.
June 11th.
Oh, no, I do
No,
not want to send
after
you-
June,
In June,
The 11th,
28th, the 11th.
the 11th and the 25th are what I have in my kind of head.
And we turn into pumpkins or something like that.
We are not good. We don't turn it to pumpkins. We have to file something with the state that says we did something and here's how we spent our 25,000.
But the rest of us, no
We can
longer.
still keep going. No.
Oh, we can. yeah.
So the 11th and the 25th?
Wait, you guys are getting paid? I'm just kidding.
11th and
25th.
25th, okay?
Yeah.
No, and again, thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I had to get it out of me.
Thank you.
Do you feel better now?
I feel better
All right,
now.
we have to adjourn, so we have to do this by roll call because we're virtual as well. So we're gonna vote, this is a vote to adjourn. David,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Topher,
Yes.
Floyd,
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
The chair votes yes, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Take something if you want
Bye,
it.
thank you.
Who wants the
Great to see
corkscrew?
you.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, thank you so much. So my schedule is just-